Welcome to the Real Estate Investing Club. This is the place everyday real estate investors gather to share their best stories, biggest insights, and favorite tactics to grow a portfolio of cash flowing properties in today's market. Here's your host, Gabe Peterson.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. Again, I'm bringing that Friday energy to you guys because it's always Friday here at the Real Estate Investing Club. Hope you guys are having a good day. It's a good day for another reason because we got Brandon Cobb on the show with us today from out there in Nashville, Tennessee. Brandon works with HBG Capital. He used to be a device sales manager or rep before getting into real estate. And now they have over $22 million of new development annually in first-time housing and build-to-rent communities. So this is a developer. We can go into those of you who are interested in building new product. This is the podcast for you. I'm super excited to jump into this. Brandon, thanks for hopping on the show.
Hey, dude, it's a pleasure to be here. Yeah, in 20 minutes, you're going to learn how to do 22 million development annually. The best 20 minutes you'll ever spend. Ready, set, go.
There you go. I told you before we got on here, we always like to start with stories on the show, just to hear kind of how people got to where they are. I'm sure you got a good one. So take us to the beginning of your story in real estate and tell us, how'd you get here?
Yeah, we'll make it short and quick. So if you'd asked me 7-8 years ago that I would be building, inventing new neighborhoods, I'd have looked at you like you had 7 heads. I don't have a story where I worked in some corporate environment for 20 years, hated what I did, and I just had this passion to do entrepreneurship. Not me. I'm not a natural entrepreneur. I loved what I did. Getting to wear scrubs every single day, working in the operating room, rubbing shoulders with very prestigious orthopedic surgeons and training hospital staff on how to better the patient. I was very intrinsically motivated. I absolutely loved what I did for a living. I did a lot of sports medicine stuff. So I was the guy going in doing a lot of shoulder rotator cuff tears, labral tears, reconstruction of the ACL in your knees. So work with a lot of athletes. One Friday afternoon, I was excited. I had this trial that went fantastic. I mean, best day you could possibly have as a rep. Met my boss at Starbucks at 5:00 on a Friday afternoon. It was one of those spring times where you could smell the coffee coming in. The sun was shining. I was so happy to go out with a bang that weekend. And he fires me.
Thanks, boss.
All the sales awards, everything that you would think would keep me safe, the work, the motivation. I mean, I lived, breathed, and ate my work, all for whatever reason. So that's when I learned that nobody was going to look out for my financial well-being but me. You can be as loyal as you want to a company, work as many hours, put in the years, the blood, sweat, and tears. And at the end of the day, it's no hard feelings. That company has to do whatever's best for the company. And for whatever reason, that was letting me go. And so I gave myself a 6-month ultimatum to make a little bit of money by myself as an entrepreneur. And I was forced into it, and I did. And since then, everything has just snowballed from there.
Yep. Yeah, man. I was in corporate for a while too, and that is, corporate is. I never like to throw shade at it because it is, it's a good way to make a living. There's plenty of good jobs out there, and if you enjoy it, that's all that matters. But with that said, there is no security in there. Even if you think there is security, even if you think you are indispensable, it's never the case. You can always be let go for whatever reason. A business is a business. Sometimes they make decisions that you don't see yourself. And so that's why we love real estate, because it does give you that cushion to land on if God forbid that does happen to you. So you found yourself unemployed. You gave yourself 6 months and you chose real estate. Why did you choose real estate?
Well, it was the first thing that took off. So like a lot of young entrepreneurs, I made the mistake because I didn't know any better. I was trying to do 4 or 5 different things. Yeah. I thought I wanted to be the next Tony Robbins. So I had this life coaching business I was trying to get on its feet. I had taken some entrepreneur courses that told me, hey, start with what you know, what you're good at. I had young men reach out to me over the years, asking me how I broke into medical device sales, because that's what they were trying to do. So I was building a course on how to do that. I also really enjoyed figuring out real estate. That was kind of one thing that I had done over the years, that I'd read all these books, never done anything. So I was doing all these things at the same time. And I got a call from somebody from one of those bandit signs that I put up. So I bought all these signs that said, like, we buy
Wow.
houses, and I would go and
Yeah.
nail them up on
I did
telephone
that too.
poles.
And I never
Yeah,
got a deal from Bandit Signs. Like when I first
never.
started, I put them everywhere, and I never got a single deal from Bandit Signs. People always, they always ask like, how do you get deals now? And I tell them, don't do Bandit Signs. Complete waste of time, because I never got one. But hey, man, you got
Really?
some success, so there you go.
I was buying containers from China, shipping containers
Oh
of
shit.
bandit signs, 4,
Oh,
5,
interesting.
6, 8,000 at a time. So
Wow.
we were not messing around. The codes department hated us. I got lots of phone calls from the police. The first one scared the living bejesus out of me. Maybe that's a story for another time, but that's how I got my first real estate deal. The guy called me, and he had a home that was getting foreclosed on. I sold all my retirement accounts, all my 401ks, my self-directed accounts. Like, I had this plan of being this corporate, retire in 25 years, max out your Roth, max out your IRA, set up a SEPA for your kids, your health savings account, every single retirement account that I had set up, these tax efficient accounts. Naively, I just sold and I bought that house, ended up flipping it, making $30,000. And I took all that $30,000, and much like that scene in the Batman movie where the Joker slides down the big pile of money as he's talking to the mafia and then lights it on fire, that was me with marketing dollars. I took that $30,000 and I dumped it into marketing. And that's what allowed this snowball to grow into what it is today. We reinvested back into the company, literally 80-90% of the profits. The first 2 years, I didn't even pay myself, which, don't do that if you're starting out. I went through about $111,000 of my own savings,
Oh wow.
keeping myself afloat while I built my business. And I just reinvested all the money that I kept making back into the business. Really, for the first 4 years, I had to pay myself $35,000 a year on year 3 and year 4 because I needed to survive after I was completely broke. But that experience taught me what it was like to really own and operate a business. So until you run out of all your own money and you're forced to be more efficient, then you're going to continue to make mistakes. And I was blessed to make those mistakes at a very early age when I did not have a family and I was only looking out for me.
Nice. Yeah, I've had a lot of people reach out and ask, they're just getting started out and they have a little bit of money and they're like, how should I put this money to work? And my go-to answer is marketing. Get a deal under contract, put some mailers out there, hire a VA to do cold calling. Texting is a really, really inexpensive way to do it. But, putting money into the marketing machine to fuel the growth is, in my opinion, the best way to get started. I wouldn't necessarily say get started, because the best way to get started is to hook up with somebody that has already done it and can show you the way. But if that's not an option for you, marketing dollars, for sure, it's the best money spent. So it worked out for you. What did you guys, you said you were $100,000 you were putting into marketing. What was that for? Were you looking for single family flips, wholesales? What were you doing there?
Yeah, we started wholesaling and flipping. My third, it was funny. My third, fourth project I ever did was actually a new construction project. And I swore
Wow.
I would never do that again because I was the general contractor on there, right?
Mm.
Mr. I'm going to wear all the hats and save all the money and do everything. And it wasn't until I hit the wall, I learned how much a 27, 28-year-old kid could work with nothing on his plate but just the business. I was the guy answering all the phones. I was the guy that was literally printing mailers out of my printer.
I've
Okay,
been
like
there.
the
Yeah.
like takes 15 seconds per printing out mailers. I was the guy going project managing every single day, hiring. I hit the wall. And I realized after my first year in business that I didn't want to live like this if this is what it took. So it took me hitting the wall, a lot of stress, a lot of work, a lot of heartache before I realized I needed to start hiring people and I needed to pay for coaching in a mastermind. And so, similar to the people who reach out to you, and I have people that reach out to me, my first thing is, the S in me. My boy Alex Ramosi, I love his content. He talks about investing in the S in me. That's what I would put the money into, because that marketing that I was spending, I was paying, I don't know, like 55, 65 cents a mailer. and we were sending out a lot. We built it up where we were doing about $30,000-$40,000 a month in just marketing. When I joined the mastermind group, when I paid the money to do that, they had already negotiated a discount on mailers. And so my cost per postcard went from 55 cents down to, I think, like 43 cents. I'm just kind of pulling numbers here. I remember I saved roughly 12 cents a postcard.
Which
and
is
I
huge
was
when you're doing
spending
volume.
when I'm doing, 50,000 of them a month. And so that, I remember that one thing alone saved me like $30,000 or $40,000 that year, more than paid for the mastermind. And so that was a huge step in getting me on the right track in the right direction. I was now going down the pathway that others had paved rather than me trying to cut through the woods and create my own path.
Yeah. And I always like to give shout outs to good resources. So what was the mastermind, if they're still up and running?
Oh, shout out to Bill Allen and the 7-figure flipping mastermind. That was the first mastermind I joined. Fantastic entry-level mastermind for getting into wholesaling and house flipping.
There you go. So that's not the end of your story. You guys got into new development. That's what your bread and butter is now. How did you end up doing? I mean, you said you did that first new development and you hated it. So how did you end up just focusing on new development? And why did you make that decision?
So we'd built this business up to doing about 30, 40 houses a year. And it wasn't until we had the opportunity to purchase this home that was half burnt down. We were buying it for less than what the land was worth. And so we said, we've never done a new build before, but man, this foundation's in really good shape. And some of this framing still looks good too. And we can buy it for less than what the land's worth. So we know the foundation's worth something. This has to be a deal. This has to be a deal. We're going to figure this out. And so we cut out all the black stuff, the house that burned, hired a structural engineer, got the city involved, make sure that they covered all of our safety bases, and basically ended up rebuilding that home essentially from the foundation up. The light bulb went off. Click, like one of those Tom and Jerry cartoons, the light bulb goes off above their head. When we had a home right around the corner that we were full gut rehabbing. It was maybe in like a historic district or something. It was like down to the studs. It was 100-year-old home. It took us 8 months to rehab and sell that home. It took us 6 months to build and sell the new home. And we made 3 times as much money.
Got it.
And we said, why are we flipping houses?
Easy.
At the same time, we were looking at the writing on the wall. So we had done a really good job of measuring our key performance indicators. I knew that when we first started, it was $3,500 in marketing to produce one contract. It was 1 out of every 5 appointments produced a contract. I knew exactly what those numbers were, and I was tracking my key performance indicators, and my key performance indicators were going, Brandon, things are getting more competitive. We were no longer spending $3,500 per contract. We were spending $6,800 per contract. It was no longer 1 out of every 5 appointments. It was 1 out of every 10 appointments we were getting a contract. And so the writing was on the wall here. I was like, man, the costs are going up. We were no longer flipping $250,000 homes and making $40,000. We were flipping $400,000 homes and making $20,000, $30,000. So the margins and risk were going up. At the same time, we had done this new build and made these nice, handsome, 22% profit margins. And we said, we want to do this now. Fast forward to doing about 30 of those new builds. It was infill. Infill is, let's go and find individual little lots that are all separated, different addresses, and let's tear them down and build. And we said, it kind of makes sense why these big companies like Lennar and D.R. Horton are building in the same area. What if we did that? How much easier would it be to send the contractors to the 1 or 2 locations you're building? How easy would it be to get these bulk material purchases because we're building the same house over and over again and ship them to the same area? And so once that happened, we made a huge effort to go and be a partner to the local communities that are approving these developments. We pulled up a chair on the same side of the table and said, look, we want to be an ally here. We don't want to shove anything down your throat. What's lacking in the community? What are the citizens complaining about? What do you guys want to see here? Let's build it together. And we pulled out a map and said, okay, now that we got that out of the way, where do you want density? And so rather than doing this $40,000 per month marketing plan, I got to put that 40 grand in my pocket every month, get rid of it, get rid of the team that was managing that. And now we've got a very laser approach. We might talk to 25 people per year because the value proposition is so strong. When I come to somebody who's got a $400,000 house and in the old business, be like, hey, cash 300, take it or leave it. Instead, I can say, hey, if I could offer you $800,000 for this house, would you be interested? And they go, how are you going to do that? And I say, I'm glad you asked. We're going to put this under contract. I'm going to do all the work to rezone it from one house to 80 houses. And once that's done, I'm going to give you $800,000 for your house. And so with this play, aligning with the local communities, adding value to the sellers, it's a win-win for everybody. Literally, there's no other business that is out there that I think adds more value, because we're creating, one, more value for our sellers, number one, value for the city in forever tax revenue that they will receive. We're creating parks. We're giving the city what they want. More taxes mean that they can invest that back into the city, back into the community, make it better. Our investors make money. We help them get on the road to financial independence, financial freedom, and our firm makes money. So it literally is a win-win for everybody.
Nice, man. So if I'm understanding you right, you guys look for large lots instead of individual builds. You look for a house that's maybe on 5 acres, 2 acres, 5 acres, 10 acres, something like that. And you pay over market value for their house as it stands. And then you build on the lot, subdivide it, put X number of houses on there.
Gabe, you hit it on the head, but I'm going to flip it around. You did B to A to B. We don't buy anything until the value is there. So much like people will buy these houses and renovate it to force appreciate the value, we force appreciate the land before we buy it.
Okay.
And that's how we build.
So you guys do entitlement. You get it under contract, you do entitlement, and then you put the money on the table once the value's already there.
Right, exactly.
Gotcha. Huh. Yeah, I wish I knew more about this process. We've gotten, we market mostly for commercial, for self-storage, mobile home RV, but we get a lot of land for some reason, just comes through the pipeline. And I've always been interested about new builds. I've never done one. I don't really know the process. For somebody who just gets started, who wants to start building communities like you're doing, what are the kind of the main hurdles that you see people run into?
Before we continue on with today's guest, I want to tell you guys about a community I'm launching on School to help investors like yourself grow your own portfolio. In this community, you'll get access to all the docs I use, all the systems I've built, everything I've used to grow my own portfolio, as well as instructions and guidance on how to get out there and find great deals, how to finance those deals, and then how to manage them for great returns. Since we're just launching it, the price will be set at a measly $20 per month, and whatever price you join at is the price you'll have for life. We will be increasing the price as the group grows, so if you're at all interested in growing your portfolio along other investors, now is the time to join. I will put the link somewhere in the bio or on our podcast website at therealestateinvestingclub.com, so if you are interested, head on over there. With that said, let's get back to the podcast.
Number one, who not how, go to the planning commission. You need a good builder and you need a good civil engineer. Your civil engineers, everyone, ask the planning commission or whoever the liaison is, who is the civil engineering firm that I need to be using? That's the number one thing you want to use. If you've never built before, same thing. Who is the builder that I need to be using? Because there's a lot of trust here. I'm not a civil engineer. I'm relying on them to do that. So step one is you put it under contract. You pay the civil engineers $2,000, $3,000 to draw a concept plan up. You take that concept plan to the city. You take it to each individual council member. You make sure you've got 50% or more buy-in. If you don't, hey, what do you want to see here? Let's make this a win-win. Once you've got over 50% verbal buy-in, now you can start spending the money with your civil engineer, design the preliminary plat, present that at a hearing, get that approved, take it back, and actually start building out all of the infrastructure, get that approved. And once you've taken it through that whole entitlement process and it goes to the state to get it stamped and approved, then at that point, you're good to go. But your civil engineer is going to be key here. Another person that might be important, and this differs from city to city, this whole entitlement and rezone process, it's a learning experience if you've never done it before. It's going to be a frustrating, very long, arduous learning experience. But if you build your pipeline, I promise you it's worth it. there are city council members or people who used to work for different departments of the city that were involved in this whole process that have realized, hey, I can go and work for the developers and I can be their resource. They can pay me to do all this work pushing it through because I came from the other side. I know the exact process. I have relationships with all the people, and they've realized they can make a lot more money working the developers, getting their deals pushed through than they can working for the city. They're called like permit expediters or like entitlement expediters. Ask the city if there's anybody that does that. That would be the other resource I would give somebody.
Interesting. So I'm just thinking, the biggest concern when looking at a development site is that, it's not going to be approved for what you want it to be approved for. And so you want to put as little money as you can into the deal prior to having a little bit of, at least 50%, 50 or 51, 60% confidence that this is going to go through. So the money that you're putting into these deals prior to having a little bit of confidence that it is going to be approved is the engineering drawings, the preliminary engineering drawings for the site.
Yeah, you don't want to put any money down until you have final civil drawings approved. A stamp from the state going, hey, you are ready. And I would take it a step further, really, if you've never done it before. You don't want to buy it until you get those stamp drawings and you have all of your costs bid out, just like you would building a home. And once you've got those and everything pencils, now you're ready to close on it with your own money or investors' money.
There you go. Well, I love it. Thank you very much for sharing all this. I'm sure people out there, and myself included, who want to, one day build. This has been an educational experience, but it is time to jump into the quick question round because we've run down our time. We've actually gone over, but screw it. It's my podcast. I make the rules. But it is time to jump into the quick question round. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Starts with books, or it could be any form of education, could be movies, Netflix shows, whatever. But I need 2 recommendations, one for general life wisdom and then one for real estate.
Real estate, 10X is easier than 2X. Change your thinking, change your business. Non-real estate related, I've got to go to Think and Grow Rich. That book changed my life and started the whole journey.
Right on. Both good recommendations. Next question is for your younger self. Let's go back to the Brandon who was just starting out in medical device sales. Go back to him, look him in the eye, give him one piece of advice moving forward.
Burn the bridges and start now. And hire people. Who, not how. Do that. Do not figure it out on your own. That.
Yep. Good advice. So many people come on here and say they wish they started earlier. And
yes,
every time I swear it's like 95% of the people. So if you're out there and you are thinking about getting into real estate, this is your message. This is directly to you. Get started. Everybody wish they would have started sooner. And so now is the opportunity for you. Just go out there, buy a property, just get something done. Because once you're in, you will wish that you would have done a little earlier. So there you go. Moving us on to the next question. This is about the U.S. It is a big place. There's a lot of opportunity. Give me the single metro. And if you choose Nashville, then give me the single area of Nashville that you are most excited about investing in today.
Top 10 cities, you can't go wrong. Follow the money. That's the key. Go where the institutions are, go where the big business, the big corporations are, go where the small businesses are going. I love Nashville, Tennessee, specifically in Nashville, Tennessee. If you're going to invest there in the outskirts where there's affordable housing. Affordable housing is the most undersupplied, highest demand real estate niche right now. That's where we want to be.
Yep. I like that. Follow the money. That's when I got started investing in mobile home parks. One of the criteria that I used is that it had to be within a 10-mile radius of Walmart because Walmart does the research. They know where they should put their stores. And so, they got billions of dollars. So if there's a Walmart there, you can be pretty certain that they've invested in an area that they have confidence will at least be growing. So follow the money. That is good advice. That leads us to the next question. This is about finding deals. It all starts with getting in contact with the seller and penning up that purchase agreement. So what is your favorite way to generate leads and find new deals?
Relationships. When you go hyper-focused sniper approach in these communities, like what we do, meeting with the planning commission, we identify the specific areas that they're willing to support. So I don't have to go shove something down their throat. And we literally go knock on doors sometimes. If My second would be social media. If you are broadcasting what you're doing, deals find you at that point. And that's kind of where we're headed. We've got to the point where people see what we're doing and we're not having to go find deals anymore. They're being brought to us.
Yeah. Yeah. Social media and any form of, media that you put out there is so it's not underrated. Everybody knows that it works, but at least for me, I didn't realize it until much, almost a year into when I had started this podcast, and I was like, oh my God, this is actually working, because it's kind of like a slow build. You start building and then all of a sudden it gets out there and then you realize things are coming back to you. Yeah, I didn't realize that was kind of a later realization for me. That leads us to the second to last question. This is about lessons learned. Not every deal we get into goes the way that we expect it. Sometimes a wrench is thrown into the mix and things go a little bit sideways, but that's where we learn our biggest lessons. So what was a deal that went a little sideways for you? And then what was the lesson you pulled from it?
I lost over $1 million buying a piece of land before the city approved it. And I bought it and then went into all the process of doing everything and realized this was going to cost $1 million more than I thought.
Oof.
Don't ever do that.
Interesting. Yeah. So that's why you go to the city first. Makes sense. That leads us to the very last question. This is for the listeners. You've given us a lot to think about. I'm sure people want to reach out, get in contact with you. This is a two-parter. Where can they find you? And then what can they expect when they reach out?
Yeah. So if you're somebody who's trying to build a legacy, if you're trying to make an impact with loved ones and ultimately retire on your terms using passive income from real estate, we have a ton of free resources on our website, hbgcapital.net. That's pronounced Harry Bob Gary Capital.net. I joked that the .com was stolen from us right before we got it. I've got a free ebook on that website, 100 questions business owners ask before investing. I wrote that book because one of our investors reached out to us. He had a friend who lost all of his investment on a real estate deal and wanted me to help him out. On that call, it became very apparent that this guy was green. He did not know what he was doing, and that's why he lost money. And had he been able to ask the right questions, I'm 100% confident he would not have lost his money. Questions unlock the answers that we need to make better informed investment decisions. So no matter what you're doing, if you go on our website, hbgcapital.net, and grab that book, write down those questions, or you can keep the book and use it. That will help you to make more informed investment decisions. We also have our own podcast called Recession Resistant Real Estate Radio. You're more than welcome to go and check that out. Tons of free resources there. And if you're interested and you read some stuff and you say, hey, I want to learn more and take the next step, then you can book a call on our calendar on our website and you get me. So it's a one-on-one with me, and we're here to dive into what you're trying to build and how we might be able to help.
There you go. I will put those links in the show notes. So if y'all want to reach out, just click the little more in the description. It'll pull down that full description, and in there you can find the links. All right, Brandon, that wraps it up, man. Thank you very much for hopping on the show.
Dude, it's been an absolute pleasure and an honor. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. For everybody who's here with us today, thank you guys for showing up. You are the reason we do this. So if you guys have any questions, reach out to me, Gabe at therealestateinvestingclub.com. If you want to support the show, just leave us a review. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great week. Keep rocking real estate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. All right, before I officially sign off, I have a quick announcement to make. If you're interested in becoming a passive investor in one of my deals, my own company, Kaizen Properties, is looking for capital partners for our upcoming projects. We invest in what are known as recession-resistant assets, mainly self-storage facilities, mobile home and RV parks, and industrial properties. If you're interested in investing and would like to learn a little bit more about my company, our investing criteria, and some of the previous projects we've done, go to the Real Estate Investing Club podcast at therealestateinvestingclub.com and scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page. Click on the Invest With Us button. That'll pop up the investor form. Fill that out, and we will reach back out to you as soon as we can. Or if you prefer a little bit more of a personal touch, you can reach out to me at Gabe at therealestateinvestingclub.com. So really, that is it. Again, it was a pleasure hanging out with you guys during this episode, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.